getting Sharon's mic and everything working. So I think we'll go ahead and get going and see what happens. All right. Okay, so I just started recording. So welcome everybody to another episode of Magnie Circle. This is our series of family history interviews because we thought we needed a distraction during 2020. And so far so good. So the format is we'll do questions and answers and for the first part, and then if you have any questions, you can put them in the chat, and then towards the end, we'll also open it up for questions. Or, if you want to interject real quickly, that would be okay, but we're trying to keep let these guys talk. So it'll be Myrna and hopefully Sharon if we get everything working here to get her on as well. All right. So I'm so excited, about.
Joan, I'm sorry, can I interrupt a minute?
Yeah.
Some folks I've known on different Zoom calls have to have their phone for the audio and the laptop for the video. Some people's laptops don't seem to have.
That's a great idea. She could just call in for the phone. That's a grand idea.
I don't know if she's on her phone or on her computer.
Hey, Darren or Dylan.
We're talking to her right now. We're working through it. Give us just a second. So.
Okay, I was going to say she could call in. She can use the phone number to call in and come in separately. So, okay, Dylan's got that idea, so he can help with that as well. All right. Okay, so we'll just see what all happens here and go from that. Okay. All right. So, let's see. Looks like everybody else is muted, so we're good to go. And Sharon, are you on? Are you? Nope, we can't hear you just quite yet.
Hear us, but we can't hear her yet. So we're working through it. So
okay, yeah, she can just call in by the regular phone number if this doesn't work. Okay, all right. So let's go ahead and get started with Myrna. This has been quite the day. We had an internet outage this morning, so I was like, all right. So I guess that's just the way it's going to be. But Myrna, do you want to just start with kind of the basics? So this is December 13th that we're recording this, but you want to just start with name and where you were born and when you were born. And let's just start with that. And thank you so much for doing this.
Okay. Well, this is Myrna Magnie Barney. Barney's the married name. And I was born October 28th, 1946. In Longmont, Colorado. So I haven't journeyed very far from home at all. And a funny story about that my mom used to tell is that the day I was born, a huge snowstorm hit. And I don't know how long, but we were in the hospital for a couple of weeks. And finally, my dad got to bring Sherry into the hospital to see us. And she crawled under the bed and would not come out because she did not want to leave. She wanted to be with her mom and her new baby sister. So that's just kind of a.
Oh, that's so cute. You had one of those big sisters that was so happy to see you there.
Yes. Yes.
And so what, when you're thinking back, like what's your earliest childhood memory? Like, what do you remember?
Well, it's funny. I remembered we didn't live on the farm north of Longmont. We lived out east of Longmont. And for some reason, a couple of things I remembered is we had a litter of, our dog Lassie had a litter of puppies. And I can remember going out and watching those puppies. They were like in a little barn or shed. Sherry might remember more of that than I do. But I remember that. And then I remember this, plus I remember my mom talking about it. I was sitting out on the front step with a pair of scissors and I was snipping lamb droppings. And when my mom asked me what I was doing, she said, I told her I was snipping beans, but I had lamb droppings I was playing with. So who knows?
That's
On a
funny.
farm,
At an early age, you would already know that you should adjust your
snip
story accordingly.
beans. I probably thought I was snipping beans. I don't know.
So then at what age did you guys move to the farm? What age were you when you moved to the farm?
I was 6 when we moved to the farm north of town. And I still have a few other memories of over there living over east of Longmont. But a lot of my memories started when we moved, to Longmont, to north of Longmont, to the farm that you all know.
Yeah. Yeah. And what was life like for you as a kid there on the farm? We just all thought you guys lived this magical farm life that we could only imagine by coming up and causing trouble, like all 8 of us descending and causing chaos. But when we weren't there, what was life? What do you remember life being like for you as a kid there?
Well, I was telling Sherry last night, we were talking about it, and I said, really, we had an idyllic life. We were so very blessed by good parents and a wonderful farm life, and the animals, we had a goose named I'm not sure where we even got the goose, but his name was Alfonso. And then Alfonso started laying eggs, and we had to change his name to Alphonsine. And I remember the baby chicks that we would have, and that mom and dad would buy baby chicks for us to raise. And I remember, I loved the baby chicks, but then when they got big enough to be butchered, I hated it. That's my worst child memory, is having to watch Daddy cut off the heads of the chickens, and then they'd run around in circles without their heads on. And then Sherry and I had to help pick the feathers off of them, and it smelled because you had to dip them in hot boiling water to get the feathers to come off. Oh, and it smelled so bad, the wet feathers. So that is my worst childhood memory.
I can imagine. What was it? What did you guys like to do when you were, as kids? What did you do to run around? And
well, remember the horse Blue Boy? Do you remember? I don't know if any of you remember Blue Boy. He was a great big, he was an Arabian horse, but he was very overweight because Sherry and I fed him too much. We were always sneaking grain to him. Well,
Sharon, can you hear us now?
I can hear you, but
yes, perfect. We can hear you too. That was it.
Thanks to Darren.
Awesome. You did it. That's perfect.
Okay, I did it.
That's perfect. So we can hear you. We can see you. That is awesome. You did it.
Okay, it's pretty scary.
You'll just have to put the phone to your ear or put it on speaker.
Yes. Okay.
Okay. Awesome.
Sherry,
go ahead.
Sherry, I was telling about us and our adventures on Blue Boy.
Yes, I heard the tail end of that, and I've been able to hear you all along, but you couldn't hear me. So I've been trying to listen and then talking with Darren, and it's been quite interesting. So thank you for waiting.
You got it.
But yes, I remember Blue Boy. Yes.
Well, we had so much fun on that horse. The only thing is, Sharon always got to ride in the saddle, and I always had to ride up behind her. And I had these little leather tassel that I had to hung on with. I mean, we had quite the adventures, let me tell you.
Yes, I thought I was the Lone Ranger and she was Tonto, and she always had to ride on the back, sometimes backwards looking out because she was looking for Indians.
So,
well, anyhow,
Sharon,
it was funny at the time.
Sharon, when were you born? So what was your birth date?
12/2, December 2nd. We don't remember the year.
And so how much distance is there between you two?
3 years.
That's not fair.
3 years. Okay, we won't do the math. We're just wondering how big of a sister you were that was forcing your little sister to hang on the back.
Well, I was 3 years older, so you can do the math. And yes, anyhow. Goodness.
So you guys could
Well,
ride that horse. Like, what age do you think you were when you were able to ride it by yourself? Ride Blue Boy?
We were pretty young.
Probably,
weren't we,
yeah, probably 9 and 6 or something like that. I mean,
yeah, at least that young. Yeah. And we used to
because we had
jump
a
in.
Shetland pony first.
Oh,
Did
yeah.
you tell them about Spark Plug?
No, I didn't tell about Sparky. Oh, we had this Shetland pony that was just boarding at the ranch or at the farm, but we got to ride him whenever we wanted to. So one year for the county fair, Sharon rode Blueberry in the rodeo, Blue Boy in the rodeo, and I rode Sparky. Okay. So we're out in the middle of the arena and this huge rainstorm came and all of the other kids and their horses went under the grandstand to be in shelter. Okay. Well, Sparky he would not budge. He put his brakes on and I could not get him to move. And all these men came out and tried to drag the horse out of the arena. My dad was so embarrassed he wouldn't come out and help.
And we were all laughing.
Oh, and so there I was, stuck in the middle of the arena, soaking wet. And we went home after that, and I said, I will never ride that horse again. Never. And I didn't.
Oh, yes.
We had to get rid of Sparky. Yeah.
Because he would buck us off also.
Oh, yeah. And there was Nanda. There was another one named Nanda. And wasn't there, right. Sherry? I don't remember Amanda. It was Amanda? Not Amanda. Nanda.
Okay.
Nanda. Nanda.
Okay.
Well, maybe
gotcha.
maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I don't remember right. But my mom said that horse is not going to buck up those girls. So she got on the horse, and as soon as Mom got on the horse bucked her off.
Gosh.
Oh.
I just remember Sparky. We called him Spark Plug.
Yes.
Oh. Yeah.
We got rid of Sparky, though, and then we had...
Yes.
Then
Blue
eventually
Boy.
we got... Yeah. And then eventually we got other nicer horses. She got Skipper, and mine was named Skeeter.
Oh, I remember those. Yeah, we were so jealous.
Do you remember those, Joe?
Yes, yeah. Exactly. So Sharon, what do you remember? Like, what's some of your earliest memories? What can you, maybe, I don't know, maybe it was before you moved to the farm or on the farm?
Well, we moved to the farm out there north of Longmont when I think I was about 6 and Myrna was about 3. We were young. But I remember the little sheep that we trained, Cookie, and she would pull us on a sled in the snow, or in the summertime, we would try to ride her, but she would come up to the back door and knock on the back door, and we would let her in the house out there on the farm. And it really upset Mom because, here you are with a sheep in the house, and she was so cute and so sweet. But yeah, that's one of my favorite memories. And then, of course, the Boulder County Fair. When we got a little bit older and we were showing our cattle at the fair, we had a lot of fun doing that.
So you guys would raise, was that like through 4-H or how would you do that?
Yes, it was through 4-H.
And Daddy,
we had to do, go ahead.
Well, I started to say Daddy was our 4-H leader for the livestock, and Mom was the 4-H leader for cooking and sewing. So we were in 4-H.
And we had to do both.
Yeah, we had to do both. Yeah.
I guess if your
Oh,
mom
wow.
is one, your dad is the other. You pretty much don't have a choice.
That's right.
We had to learn how to cook and make dresses and model our dresses, and oh, it just went on and on. Bake bread. But it was fun. It was a lot of fun.
We had such a good childhood, though. I mean,
yeah,
you know, really good memories.
we did.
But talking
We
about
did, yes.
talking about memories of you kids coming out to the farm. Oh my gosh. I can still see that station wagon pull up in the yard and kids coming out every door and out of the back of the station wagon. Oh,
The windows.
Yep.
Like a Chinese fire drill.
Yeah, that's Kay and I didn't even have like assigned seats. We were in the little space between the seat that went backwards and the second seat. We were like in the little luggage area. That was our
Right.
spot. So we're probably
Yes.
amongst the last to excavate ourselves from that.
Oh my goodness, yes, yes. Oh, it was so much fun though. We couldn't wait for you all to come, and then everybody would head to the barn and yeah, we just had a blast.
Yeah. Picnics in the yard. We had a lot of picnics in the yard, and we really.
Where did you guys
camping.
go? Where did you go to school then? What was that like did you ride a bus into school?
Oh,
or
no.
How did that?
No.
Well, we
Go
went
ahead,
to
Sharon.
Armstrong. Yeah, we went to Armstrong, which was about a mile from the house, and they didn't have buses, but Mom would take us. I don't think we ever had to walk home, did we, Myrna? Because it was a good mile, that whole section.
Yeah. She usually always was there, and sometimes we would start walking if she wasn't there quite on time. But
right.
Usually she was always there.
Yeah.
But it was a 2-room school where they had 1st through 4th grade, and then 5th through 8th. I think that's right, isn't it, Sherry? Or 1st through 3rd
that's right.
and 4th grade. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was called the little room and the big room.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
So how many students were in there in your whole school?
Very few. Let me tell you my side of it. I was the only one in the 8th grade, so I had to help the teacher teach the younger ones. And that was challenging because then, like the next year, the school closed and everybody had to migrate to Longmont. And I wasn't used to being with any kids at all because I had been helping the teacher. So it was hard on me going to high school.
It really was.
But I think Myrna survived better because she was 3 years younger, and so she got to go to the middle. Was it called middle school back then, or whatever it was called?
I went to Mountain View Elementary School in 6th grade.
Okay, in 6th grade. Okay.
And then on from there. But we had so much fun at that country school, even though Sherry was really at a disadvantage because of it. But we played other other country schools in softball.
Softball, yeah.
Yeah, and Sharon was always the star. She was really a good hitter. So everybody. And
I was a pitcher, I think. Yeah.
Oh, you were the pitcher.
I was the pitcher. Yeah.
And the teacher would let us out half the afternoon to play baseball or softball.
Softball.
Don't you remember that, Sharon?
Oh yes, I do.
You mean when you were in the two-room school?
Yes,
then
two-room school.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that must have been quite a shock to go to. So where did you go to high school then, Sharon?
I started the 9th grade in Longmont.
Like Longmont High School?
Yes. It was right there on Main Street as you go through town. Yeah.
At that time, that was the only high school.
Right.
In Longmont.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was hard because I'd never had any competition or anything. I was used to helping the teacher, Mrs. Beeler.
Mrs. Beeler, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. But anyhow, somehow we survived. Yeah.
Right, exactly. And so then as you what happened after you graduated from high school? Myrna, do you want to go first?
Oh, sure. After I graduated, I went to, it was Colorado State College at that time. It's now University of Northern Colorado. And I went there for 4 years and graduated 4 years later with had a bachelor's degree in education. So then I went on to teach, school before I was married, and then even after we were married.
Did you always want to be a teacher?
I did. I was a Sunday school teacher of like the 3-year-olds, and that's what made me decide I wanted to be a teacher.
And then you taught, I think you were teaching kindergarten right up till.
I was the last 10 years I taught kindergarten, but I didn't teach while the boys were little. And then I went back to teaching preschool, and then, then I went back to full time with the school district. Yeah, so it was a good profession for me because I really enjoyed teaching.
That's pretty neat. How about
and
you,
everything
Sharon?
she does, I think, is related to teaching because she does so many artsy craftsy things. So I think it's, she keeps using her skills.
Oh yeah, right. When you're doing preschool and kindergarten, you got to get a lot of art stuff in there.
Right. Yeah.
How about you, Sharon? Didn't you end up living at our house for a while?
Well, very briefly, because I went right from high school into St. Luke's School of Nursing there, fairly close to your house. It was at 19th and Downing or something like that, where St. Luke's was. And I think it's a name of a different hospital now. I think they were taken over by somebody. But anyhow, yeah, I was there for 3 years, and school went round year. You didn't have a break. That's why it was a diploma program. So I graduated from a diploma school. And I remember when Grandma Magnie passed away, that was right after I had started school. They hardly would let me even go for the funeral. That's how rigid it was. Because, by the time you were the second year, you were already helping staff the hospital. But I met a lot of nice friends, and it was good. And I was there, graduated in August of 3 years later. Started there in 61 and graduated in 64. And then I got married the following February. So
did you always know you were going to be a nurse as well? Because you stuck with that. You guys, I think compared to our family, you guys seem like very like you got trained and then you did the
boring.
Thing. Ours is like
boring.
No. Like you knew what you were doing. It seemed like.
Well, Sharon I didn't know about that.
Sharon belonged to an organization called GEMS in high school, so she got to wear this cute little candy striped outfit. I really
then
was
I worked
jealous.
At the Longmont. I worked at the Longmont Community Hospital as a candy striper, and I think that's when I decided I wanted to be a nurse. I mean, I couldn't even drive yet, but I was working as a candy striper, and I liked it, and I just decided to be a nurse, and that's kind of how it went, and I'm still being a nurse.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, Carol had her candy striper thing going on as well.
Did she?
Us younger kids just thought that was the coolest outfit ever.
Yeah, a little red and white stripe
with a white apron. Didn't you have a white apron?
Yeah, it was like a bib. I mean, you had shoulders, and then it came down to the waist, and then the skirt. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Did Mom have to make that for you?
I don't recall. I do not remember that.
I don't remember either.
Yeah.
Another thing I was going to ask you about was any memories of the grandparents, because like by the time I was born, so I never really met dads, so our dads' parents.
Right.
So what memories do you have?
Well, I even remember Grandpa Magnie, Axel, because I was about 3 years old when my dad came back from Fort Wayne, Indiana, with Mom, of course. and I can remember him very vividly. And then I don't remember him passing away, but I was young. I was either like 3 or 4. And then, of course, I remember Grandma Magnie, as Myrna would also.
Right. I remember
she had
Grandma.
an apartment. Yeah, she had an apartment there in Longmont after a while. I don't remember when she started living there, but yeah, she taught Myrna and I all about drinking coffee. To this day, I'm still a coffee drinker because she put a lot of cream and sugar in it, and it was so good. And Mom would kind of get upset with her, saying, "You shouldn't be drinking that coffee." But it was Grandma Magnie's thing. So we just drank coffee.
Sharon, let's see. Your video went off. Oh, there you go. Okay, it's back on now. Okay.
It popped up, so I just hit the button.
Okay. Perfect.
I do know how to do that, but that's all.
You're good, Sharon. You're doing good.
Yeah, exactly. So what do you remember about Axel? I mean, I know you said you kind of vividly just an impression. I mean, as a toddler.
Yes. Well, I just remember the old car he drove, and I can remember standing on the running boards and just little things like that. He always had a hat on, kind of like my dad used to wear. And he always, I just can remember vaguely, but I do remember him. It's sweet. It's sweet memories, but I can't really say much more than that. It's just kind of vivid. Yeah.
How about
but
you,
he was
Myrna?
kind.
That's a good feeling. Do you remember any, like a specific memory about Grandma? So that would be Edith.
Edith. Right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I remember a lot about her. I'm trying to think what would be a favorite memory. One traumatic memory I remember is she lost the diamond out of her ring. And I still can remember how upset she was. And I remember Daddy going and taking the drain apart in her kitchen, trying to find the diamond.
Wow.
And, I just remember that. Do you remember that, Sherry? How she upset
I don't
she
remember
was?
that.
Isn't that funny? The things you remember that you remember.
Mm-hmm.
But
right.
I remember she used to like to make cinnamon rolls.
Yes.
And
Swedish rusks. She made the Swedish rusks that you would dip in your coffee.
Right.
Still have that recipe.
Yeah.
Well, maybe you'll have to share that.
Oh, yeah. In fact, it's in Daddy's handwriting now, but it's Swedish rusks. RUSKS. Yes.
Well, you'll have
and
to,
I remember Grandma Magnie. You don't have that? Okay. It's pretty easy to make. I mean, just, yeah. But I remember her little black 2-door Chevy.
Yes.
It was really cute little coupe. And I can remember Dale saying, "I wish you could get that car from your grandmother someday." Because it was a cute little car.
It was.
Anyhow.
So what was her personality like?
Well, she had a beautiful voice.
Mm-hmm.
She could sing. That's where Dad and Uncle Bob got their voice, singing talent. Yeah.
Right.
And she was very stylish.
Yes.
Always wore a hat, always wore gloves. She was very stylish. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Her personality, though, she could be, I'm not sure how to say it, but she could be real hard on her mom. Mm-hmm. And I'm not sure why that was, but I know Mom shed a lot of tears, but I'm not trying to bring in a negative side, but I remember that vividly. And volatile, I think, was her personality, is a word that I would use to describe her personality.
Mm-hmm.
What word did you use, Myrna? What word did you use?
Volatile.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Mom did worry a lot about that Grandma Magnie didn't like her. I know that.
Yeah. And Mom was such a people pleaser. She wanted, that really hurt her a lot. Mm-hmm. And Grandma always referred to her little Lloyd.
That's right.
Lloyd.
Little Lloyd.
But
Yep.
you know, Daddy used to talk about though when Daddy and Uncle Bob were just little kids, how she would have them perform, you know, sing
Mhm.
duets for school assemblies and stuff for big
Right.
kids when they were little, like 3 and
yeah.
5 or 3 and
Mhm.
6. You know,
Yep. Mhm.
she
Well, they
she
had
always
nice
had them.
voices, even. Yeah. Beautiful
Yeah,
voices.
she always had them singing and doing, you know, performing.
Yeah, I think I remember Dad saying that they'd perform like on the street out in Frederick there, just I don't know, for
Probably.
money or just
Probably.
yeah. And did
Oh,
you
goodness.
also say that Lloyd wrote some stories or some family history? Did somebody?
Yeah, I got
Yeah.
some.
Mhm.
Yeah, we've got
Right.
some stuff that Daddy wrote, you know, about his
Mhm.
life and his dad's life. You know, that times were really hard for them when growing up. I mean, referring to Daddy and Uncle Bob because of just it was
Well,
tough times. You
it
know,
was tough. It was
it,
right before. Yeah. World War I was over, and then there was just a lot of people didn't have a lot, and people would be
No.
standing on food lines, kind of like you hear about these days. But yeah, they had to start working.
Yeah, and they lost the farm. You know, they had a farm out east of Frederick there, and Axel lost the farm, and that was really hard on them, you know. And then they moved to Denver, and he worked in a grocery store.
Yes.
In fact, I've got pictures of the Magnie grocery store.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I've got quite a bit of history that if you guys are interested in it, that you might find interesting. Well, yeah, you might find it interesting, you know, stuff that Daddy remembered.
Yeah.
Because Mom and Dad both wrote letters before Mom got sick with her Alzheimer's, and talked about their growing up and their childhoods and their later years when they before they got married.
Yeah, that would be really great. How about you, Sharon? What's a memory that you have of your mom? She was always just like so sweet.
Well, she was so
and
sweet.
So like
yes.
Also maybe like a little anxiety of like, is everybody okay? Like it seemed like she had that extra, like you said, the people pleaser, which
yes,
I'm not sure if it jumps family lines, but I think I've got that one too.
Yeah. She was
Sharon and I do too.
Yeah, always wanting to please, and everybody loved her because she was so kind and so sweet, and would always, you know, if somebody was sick, would always make them a sponge cake or something and take it over. And Daddy was the one that did a lot of visiting at the nursing homes, but I think Mom always went too when she was, you know, before she started failing. But yeah, they were real active, and she was active in one of the church circles, and yeah, but she was just always wanted us girls to be good.
It was our party
everything.
Every time we left the house. Now you be a good girl.
Okay,
I probably didn't.
So tell us about a time when that advice didn't pan out. Did you get in trouble ever for? Myrna's like, no.
Well, probably Myrna never got in trouble.
Oh yeah, right.
I remember, but I was a teenager then, you know, going to Boulder after church meetings on a Sunday evening, or going to Niwot, wherever we went somewhere. And some of the kids, they would pick us up at the church, and Myrna wasn't along because she was younger. Oh, I just remember. And then Daddy would check the mileage in the car or the gas tank, and he'd say, well, I think you went further than Longmont. And I'd have to kind of, yeah, maybe a little bit, Daddy. But anyhow, Mom was always in the background, like, oh, you got to be good.
You got to be good.
He had a little more of a detective.
Right. Right.
It's
But
always-
Daddy never really got mad. He would just shake his head and look down, and it's like, oh no, he's upset.
was
Well,
always
do you have
think
any
about your
stories?
reputation.
Do you have any stories of him as a little boy, of something that you remember, something kind of funny, or any stories that he told?
Oh golly, I don't recall anything, Myrna. Do you?
I don't offhand. I'm
Right
trying to
offhand.
think.
Mm-hmm.
I can't think of anything offhand that he told. or
I
that-
remember Dad telling a story, so this would be your Uncle Bob, of
Right.
that he'd asked for a drum, and he
Oh,
knew he was
okay.
getting it, and so every time he had a chance, he'd unwrap it and play it, and he actually busted it before Christmas,
no.
but he still just wrapped it back up.
Oh,
Oh,
shoot.
my gosh. No, I didn't ever hear that one. That's a
I
good one,
didn't
Joan.
either.
So
Well,
how did they manage to, so this was Axel and his brother, that they were able actually to get those farmhouses built on the edge of town? That seems like a pretty big accomplishment.
It does.
Well, let me look at the book, because I remember Daddy said that they had a year of really good crops, and so they were able to build those two houses right beside each other that were that were really nice. And then they had years of crop failure, and that's when they lost
That must have been quite a roller coaster.
Yeah.
Okay. He said, before I ramble on, I want to tell you about our family. Well, let me go back a little bit. Okay, they lived 1.5 miles east of Frederick, Colorado, and we had a beautiful new home. Our home and my Uncle Vic and Aunt Lizzie's home stood side by side on the 240-acre farm. I say side by side, but actually there were about 80 to 100 yards apart, with garage, barns, and granary in between. The houses were quite grand and were most impressive for miles around. Ours had a large kitchen, 2 walk-in pantries, a large dining room, music room, and living room across the front that made it quite impressive. Everything was made of beautiful hardwood. There were 3 bedrooms, a large bathroom, never finished because we didn't have running water, and several large built-in closets. All I recall, Dad said the home cost $7,500 when it was built, and it was an expensive home in those days. I guess Dad and Uncle Vic had one bumper crop that paid for both houses and then some. In my memory, it was the one and only good crop. I'll relate some of the other things later. So about Axel, he said, Dad was a wonderful father, a real kind, gentle man. He never drank or smoked. He never seemed cross with us. He worked so hard all the time and complained very little. He deserved so much more than he got from this world. Dad had a great sense of humor, and he and Uncle Vic were known for their antics at parties and family gatherings. He and his brothers and sisters were all musically inclined, and it seemed they all played musical instruments of one kind or another. Dad played the cornet and trumpet in bands in Denver, and I have a picture of that. He wanted me to play the trumpet, which I played in the school band for a short time. So anyway, that's
wow.
Yeah.
Oh my
cool.
gosh, that brings tears to my eyes. That whole story.
That's the history he wrote.
Yeah.
And then he went on and talked about my brother Robert was born November 21st, 1923, 3.5 years younger than me. Living in the country as we did, we were inseparable. We played cowboys and Indians a lot, and I recall we had what was called we called the Roxy game. 2 members, I guess.
Yes.
Robert was a much better student than I was and always excelled in whatever he did. His being valedictorian of his graduating class is evidence of his ability. Mom and Dad and I were so proud. Robert, do you want me to keep reading this or not?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Robert and I sang duets at a very early age, ages 4 and 7 or before. And it never bothered us how large or small the audience. I remember 2 occasions. One, I was probably in 2nd grade and Bob came with Mom and we performed at a high school assembly. They kept clapping us back, and when we finished, a collection of tops and marbles filled our pockets. We thought the tops were so neat. On another occasion, we sang for a packed house at the Frederick Town Hall. We had been asked to perform at the intermission of a town play. The 1920s and 30s were hard years on the farm east of Frederick. It seemed we were plagued by one crop failure after another, usually caused largely by lack of irrigating water or severe hail. Failure always seemed imminent, and I suppose this caused a sadness to pervade the conversations about our home. During these times, Dad and Uncle Vic started a Magnie's brothers grocery store in Frederick to try and take up the slack. This too was unsuccessful, caused mainly by too much credit extended to the miners during the strike of 1928. So it goes on. There's a lot of information here.
Well, yeah, thank you for reading those nuggets. And yeah, if you want to, we'll figure out a way to get a copy of that and put it in our archives as well. I never heard the stories of them performing to a packed crowd at the school for tops and marbles.
I bet you they were so cute too, because that one
God.
picture of them when they were little is just precious, So
with their knickers on,
cute.
And to think about, I'm thinking about like John playing the cornet in high school, and Otis and Elaine performing, and Darren as a musician, and all this. It's so cool to see all this kind of coming from those generations.
Yes.
I won.
Yeah. Exactly.
Well, so then my last question for each of you is, and we'll start with Myrna. What advice would you give to a younger person now? So maybe somebody like Adam, or another way to think about it would be thinking back to yourself as a younger person. What kind of advice would you give to a young person starting out in the world?
I think, I don't know. I think the best attribute that you can develop is kindness towards other people, and a willingness to help other people. I guess in a nutshell, I feel like service to other people is really important.
Yeah, I mean, and as you were saying, just remembering the kindness of your mom, your dad, and the older ones, and your dad saying that Axel was a kind man. Those are the memories. That's the main point that sticks.
And another thing, I know Sharon hears me harp on this all the time, how important it is to record these things, to record your life and what, because it just like now to look back on what Daddy wrote, that is just priceless to me.
Sure.
Yeah.
But that's right. Pretty much in a nutshell.
Yeah. Thank you. And how about Sharon?
Well, I agree with what Myrna said, trying to pass along kindness and helping others and being kind and helping people that don't have as much as you do, things like that. But I also just try to especially with my kids and especially my grandkids now, know that you're always there to help them if they just need to talk to somebody or if they need to share information that they just want to share with only somebody, maybe not their immediate parents. And also, do what your heart tells you to do. Try to be kind, be loving, and follow your dreams. You know, if you choose a profession and it doesn't seem to quite fit, then, you know, there's always other things you can do. But just be true to yourself, be true to your family, love your mom and dad, and also, you know, love your siblings, and just try to get along in this world because life is so short.
Amen. All right.
Amen.
Okay. Well, thank you. I think that's a good place to open it. If anybody else has any other questions or anything, or any little memories you wanted to interject.
Joan?
Yeah.
Can I say one more thing before
Yes, definitely.
You know, your mom and especially your dad, your dad was so loving and always gave me unconditional love and support. When my sons got their Eagle degree, they always drove up to be there for the ceremony when, you know, in Boy Scouts. And they were just always so loving and so supportive of me and my family. Sherry might not feel this as much since they had to move away, you know, but I just loved Uncle Bob and Aunt Jerry both so much because of their unconditional love.
Definitely.
So
And
anyway,
Mom used to always say, don't invite me unless you want me to come. So it's kind of like that, like, you know, John Subdued thing. Like, if you're going to tell me the date, I'm probably going to be there. And so if you tell me that, you know, your son's getting a Eagle Scout thing, I'll probably be there.
Yeah.
Anyway,
that's neat.
We're great supporters that way. Yeah.
Yes, definitely.
So
okay.
John or Carol or Dan or anybody, or Darren, anybody?
Yeah, I'll go. Carol, you want to go first? Okay, just the general point of how much Lloyd and Dorothy and Sharon Myrna made for us when we were kids, going to the farm. And I go by that farm every time, you know, because I'm going from Fort Collins down to Boulder a lot. And it's just a big emotional spot for me, that farm. But then in particular, besides Aunt Dorothy always just being so sweet, but Uncle Lloyd, you talking about how he and Dad used to sing. But I remember at least 2 Grange Hall gatherings where Uncle Lloyd got up with a dress on and sang country tunes, sang Minnie Pearl songs. And, you know, with a big, like, I think he had sort of like an orange wig, and he was just outrageous. He was a funny guy. He always had jokes.
Olga.
Yes, he did.
He always dressed up as Olga.
Yeah.
Oh goodness, yes.
I mean, all of that is so rich to me, but I'm just gonna that much.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I wish I had a
Great
video
memory.
recording of Daddy being Olga. He was so funny.
It was a good one. Yep. I think I recorded him singing one time, it, but I don't know where that recording is, but I do remember having him sing that.
Yeah. Well, and you know, he dressed up and acted like the lady just came from Sweden.
At the ball game. Yes.
At the ball game and the white socks. So he wore his white socks.
Oh. He should have been a clown.
Deanne,
Thanks,
what was
John.
the story of when you guys, what was the story about the tractor, Deanne?
Oh yeah. Sherry and I were talking about that last night.
Dan's there right now.
I remember it.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. Well, because I was driving the tractor, and I was so proud. I mean, because that was one thing when we went to work on the farm. I mean, Uncle Lloyd would let us drive the tractor, sometimes even drive the pickup. You know,
Right.
and, it was just that was, you know, huge bragging points when we get back in the city. You know,
When you're
I rode a horse, I rode a tractor, but
like, how old were you
there
then?
was, damn, I don't know, but I remember being on that tractor, and they had the silage ditch, right, which was
right
where all the silage from the corn was stored, and there was a road that went up the side of it, along the top of it, and then back down the other side. And to me, that there was, okay, that's a place easily to drive a tractor, whatever, you know. And I'm driving, I think Dan was on the tractor, there's a couple other kids, and I see car, because this was a little ways from the farmhouse, 2 cars speeding the hell out there, you know, like just in terror of what we were doing. I was like, oh, what?
Yeah. And almost
I
tipped
remember
over.
that day.
I do too. You almost tipped over and fell into the pit, the silage pit.
Yeah, that's true.
It was very scary.
Very scary.
I can imagine you guys probably just shaking your heads after we left, like, oh, we didn't tell. I can remember, like, Kay and I were, somebody would say, oh, you can go out and collect the eggs. And so we would be picking up the chickens and reaching under them and all these things and getting pecked. And you're like, wait, why? What did you? No, we didn't have like the details of the correct techniques.
Right.
There's a lot missing in our city kid education. How about you, Carol? What do you remember as far as like being a youngster? Because it must have been interesting when you first started hanging out with them, and then as we added this whole posse behind us.
So this is just so cool, Joan. Thanks for getting together, and girl cut. Thank you for being here. My God, the thing is, when I look at the family pictures, I was a girl and way bigger than everybody else in the family, almost as tall as Mom. So when we go out to the farm, here would be these other 2 girl cousins, and I just felt so excited to be around girls.
Some girls.
Yeah. And you guys are just so cool. And I remember being in awe of going out, and the times that I got to spend the night with you guys were just, it was huge. It was so huge.
Yeah.
And I remember lying between the 2 of you in that double bed up at the top of the stairs.
Yes.
And I don't know, at that point, you guys actually had the bathroom inside. I can't remember.
Yeah, downstairs.
Right. Mm-hmm.
But
that was,
the whole religion thing for me, with Grandma Magnie and I as young kids talking about the fact that we were Catholics and why did Dad leave, that, you know, that was, he felt free to.
That was hard.
Me as a kid, like you know the hymns, and she'd have us sit next to the piano and play the hymns, and then I'd go to them. When you guys go to church on Sundays, you would have to try and find the dang Catholic church and drop me off. I don't know if you remember that, because I
don't remember dropping you off.
Yeah, because I couldn't go to church. No. I remember going in there by myself and thinking, and then coming home and spending the night sleeping between the 2 of you, and thinking, I really need to baptize them in the name of the Lord.
Oh my gosh, Carol, I don't remember that. I do not remember that.
You thought we were going to hell.
Because, you know,
Oh,
baptized. So I remember thinking if I could get up and get downstairs and get that, I just needed the littlest bit of water. So I would lay there until I think I would go to sleep, but I would think like if I got and went down, just to the foot of the bed, then you wouldn't feel me leave the bed. But then
oh gosh.
I would worry about Dorothy because were they in the room across the hall or were they downstairs? I think they were downstairs.
Mom, Mom and Dad, you mean?
Yeah.
They were downstairs.
They were downstairs.
They were downstairs. So then I know that was a problem too. I could never figure that out. Could I get out of the bed? Then if I got downstairs, would Lloyd and Dorothy hear me? Because you guys always had all kinds of stuff. And then could I get a little bit of water, bring enough to baptize both of you? Or would one of you
What a riot.
Well, there was another bedroom across the hall upstairs, but probably somebody was afraid to sleep alone. Was that you, Carol?
Probably.
Or just she was trying to baptize you. I think that must run in the family because Dad used to tell us, like we'd leave Molly and Gail with them while we went to a movie, and we came back and he said, or when we were leaving, he said, "Go ahead, I'm going to get them baptized while you're gone." And I always wondered, like, maybe he did. So yeah, this whole obsession with sneaking probably.
That is funny. But I remember you spending the night, but I don't remember anything about Grandma Magnie making you go to the Catholic Church by yourself. Oh, no, I don't remember that.
Not Grandma Magnie. My mom and dad, like I couldn't spend the night because on Sundays I couldn't go to church with you, and you guys didn't have church. No, it was
that was Mom. Probably. Oh,
yeah. I mean, it wasn't an issue. The issue for me was I needed to make sure you guys were going to heaven.
I want to make sure you're all together in heaven.
Oh my gosh. Okay, now I understand.
Yeah. So anyway, the religion thing was always like front in my mind because I think I was carried the neurotic part of that for the whole family.
You probably got the neurotic part of it too. So yeah, as more and more kids appeared, it was less time to worry about that.
Oh goodness.
I remember you coming up and you had you brought Mom and me so we could see the pattern that you had picked out for your jewelry. I mean, for your silver. Do you remember that?
Oh, yes. I do remember.
It was so exciting. I just thought that was so neat. And I remember when Mom got up and went to the kitchen, you kind of leaned over and said, "And I got my lingerie." And I was
oh my gosh. I don't remember this, Carol.
She's just making things up now, right?
Yeah. And you have to be.
I mean, not being having an older sister, there were so many things I know. You guys help me out.
It's funny.
Funny. The one other thing that I tell was momentous for me. When you guys we would go fishing in the lake, and we would some kind of group co-op lake or something that we had to close the gate when we came out the door. Out the road.
Right.
And
yes.
Us girls were sitting in the back, and your mom and dad were in front, and they drove through the gate, and then the next thing I know, we were all screaming because your dad had run up the back of the car, bent over with his head looking in at us.
I remember that.
Just scared the hell out of us.
Oh my gosh.
But that was, I mean, I think that was so fun just to see that, just that you could have so much fun. Because I think,
yeah,
it was different in our family.
Well, and yeah, and like going water skiing with, that Lloyd and Dad would be out there skiing and stuff, to see them as brothers
Right.
around
Yeah.
till the end was very, very cool.
Yeah. It was
all right.
special.
Okay. Well, thank you guys so much for doing this. That was so nice of you to hop on here. And if you want to send any of those things, we'll get any of those writings of your mom and dad. We'll distribute them. Well, thanks.
I wonder if Darren could introduce his crew before we sign off.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And then let's do a picture.
Good.
Well, this is Adam here. This is our youngest one. This is my
Hey,
daughter.
Adam. Hi, honey. Hello. Oh, great. So good
Hi,
to see you
Adam.
guys.
Such a great family. Hey, yeah, let's do a photo real quick.
Well, we already introduced George. Hi, George.
Yeah,
George.
we did kind of in the beginning. Hey, George. That's George McCullough, our second cousin.
Oh,
Hey,
nice seeing everyone.
Another
Hey,
family history buff. Awesome. Okay, I'm going to take a picture real quick. Let's see. Okay, ready? Adam, are you in there? Okay, got it. Somehow everybody has a great face other than mine, but that's good. At least I'm consistent. All right. Okay, so next week is our last one, and it's going to be the Kay and Joan show, interviewed by Jennifer.
Yeah.
Cool.
Excellent.
Yeah. So that'll be great. All right. Well, thank you, everybody. Have a beautiful Sunday. Thanks for popping on. Thanks, Sharon and Myrna, for doing that.
Thank you. Thanks for you.
Thank you, Joan.
So great. Okay. Bye, everybody.
Have a great day.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
All right.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
That was great.